In a world of different political opinions, how does a single person manage to get their statements across? How far is too far while still being appropriate enough to not get backlash from an opposite side of the party? Well, to answer that question, there is none. Opinions are universal, and there's always going to be someone on the other side with a bone to pick, but that doesn't mean that it's not something that shouldn't be said. I mean, compared to you and me, if both of us were to go on Twitter right now and make some crazy political statement, chances are the post would barely get maybe 5 retweets. On the other hand, if you were, let's say, a celebrity of some kind, then you might be receiving much more than a couple retweets and shares. Two of the best examples being Kathy Griffin in her famously controversial image of her holding ex-President Trump's decapitated head, and the 1977 cover album of Sex Pistols' God Save the Queen. My name is Isabel Cruz, and without further ado, let's dive into why these two controversies stuck to the media's eyes. Before we can dive into the controversy that both of these visuals created, we need to understand the context and maybe even the history of how these images became what they are. So let's travel to England in 1970. During this time, multiple strikes from the working class led to blackouts throughout the cities as trash piled up. England was experiencing a rough recession in their economy, and with the Royal Jubilee approaching, an event in which the monarchy is celebrated for their service and loyalty, timing could not be better for the band Sex Pistols to release their new song, No Future, which would later be changed to God Save the Queen. With the song releasing in May and only 1 month till the Jubilee, many people in England took this as an act of teenage terrorism against the monarchy. With the cover image being the Queen herself acting as an endorsement for listeners, and the statement simply being God save the Queen because we sure as hell won't, it's no wonder that it didn't take very long for the BBC to completely ban the song from being broadcasted, as well as other local broadcasting sites following. Despite the lyrics coming off as bombastic toward the English monarchy, the band themselves says it wasn't just about goading the elders, but galvanizing those at a disadvantage. John Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten, who was a songwriter for the band, went on to say, "You don't write God Save the Queen because you hate the English race, you write a song like that because you love them, and you're fed up with them being mistreated," which ties into his other statement on why he wrote the lyrics. "It was expressing my point of view on the monarchy in general, and on anybody that begs your obligation with no thought. That's unacceptable to me. You have to earn the right to call on my friendship and my loyalty, and you have to have a value-proven points in order for me to support you. That's how it is." Rotten's statement on his opinion of the monarchy perfectly ties into the idea that Kathy Griffin evokes in her 2017 decapitated Trump image. Before we continue, just to make it clear, the head is a mask covered in ketchup, and in Kathy Griffin's own words, "Well, I didn't have any fake blood, I don't keep it in stock." Hey, you would be surprised that she actually had to make commentary saying that it was fake. Fake or not though, it managed to rile up the audience it most likely was intended for, including the man himself, ex-President Trump. Using his favorite platform, the president commented on Twitter, "Kathy Griffin should be ashamed of herself. My children, especially my 11-year-old Baron, are having a hard time with this. Sick." So why exactly did Griffin make this image? In her interview with Seth Meyers, she explains how during one of Trump's debates, he makes a comment regarding female ovulation and, well, blood coming out of a certain area on a woman. Griffin was triggered by this comment and in retaliation said, "I wanted to shame him."
Kept thinking about him saying at the debate, blood coming out of her eye, as of her what, and I'm like, how many men have said that crap to you of your life? So I was triggered, I admit it, triggered stuff like, and so I wanted to shame him. He's such a misogynist and his policies are so disgusting, and for the rights of women and LGBT folks and people of color, I was like, this guy's going down.
While she does go on to say she might have retaliated too soon, the message was clear and it received the comments one would expect from, well, dissing America's favorite president. Despite there being numerous companies that have most likely made profit off of using the president as a meme, for example, this vegan food company Soulful, using Trump to advertise with him saying, "Mexicans, I love them." After the release of this image, Griffin's career took a turn for the worst. Her tour was cancelled and she lost a bunch of brand deals. Of course, in order to combat this, she instead took a world tour to 13 countries and 26 cities, all of which were not the biggest Trump bands in the world. However, her career still took a hard turn in the States, and she also knew that posting this image created a large impact on her career. So after hearing the context of these 2D images, we can easily compare how the impacts of their endorsements led to the media's outrage. With both images holding strong statements that directly go against the subjects both photos are focusing on, it's no wonder that supporters of both leaders held these images at arm's length. To be fair, didn't these images perfectly encapsulate what they wanted to get across? The fact that the media caused an uproar proves that the images did their job. For God Save the Queen, Her Majesty's image is surrounded by the British flag, creating a symmetrical composition that's accompanied by ransom-type lettering. Because she is placed in the middle of the flag, the lines all lead to the center, creating movement that not only pulls a focus to her, but the message that covers her face. These principles all work together to create a functioning composition that brings together the image and creates the message. With the message God Save the Queen written in a type that is usually associated with paying in order to free something, it shows the target audience the band is trying to reach. In this case, the working class, and how they're trying to create something to represent their ideas. The overall composition is enough to signify there being no loyalty or respect for a government who would rather celebrate their own accomplishments than the accomplishments of the working class paying to keep the monarchy in its position. A similar idea can be said about Kathy Griffin's image. What was her goal in taking that picture? Maybe it was to be funny, as she is a comedian, but looking at the image, you don't really need to know the context for why she took the picture when the image tells the viewer, man, she must hate Trump a lot for her to be taking a picture with his decapitated head. You don't need to know that his stupid debate comment triggered her when the image delivers her statement, F you Trump, perfectly. It encompasses her message clearly. There is a clear contrast in the bright redness of the blood on Trump's face against the white background and the blue of Griffin's dress. Not to mention the representation of both, with Trump possibly being red for the Republican Party and Griffin's dress representing her own ideologies in the Democratic Party. With the asymmetry and the unity being displayed in this photo, it's not only eye-grabbing to the viewer, but it encompasses the message displayed with it. With the way that both of these images display well-liked or hated public leaders, it's no wonder they receive as much attention as they did. The way these pictures were presented was in such a visually appealing way that it makes sense that those who are loyal to these leaders would be angered by the messages that are being said. Both of them manage to evoke emotion simply by the way they're composed, both comically or offensively. Depending on the viewer, they might react to it differently, but overall, there is just one message that both display. These leaders suck. So while neither of the creators of the images got away easily with the media they produced, these two specimens easily encompass their goal through simple visual design. This has been my take on how God Save the Queen and Kathy Griffin's decapitated Trump head managed to make such an impact on media's history. Thanks for watching.